Freshmen are playing in college football more and more every single year, and this year is no different. Today, we're going to take a look at 10 impact freshmen that could play a huge role in their offense or defense in 2025. We'll start with some honorable mentions. This is honestly a hard list to put together. There are so many talented players that could be part of this. You look at defensive line, there are a number of options. Jakeem Stewart is going to play a big role in what should be a talented USC defensive line. Elijah Griffin is going to be a future star for Georgia. He just has to find a way to get on the field this year, and he should be in position to do that. Amari Adams, kind of the same thing at Clemson. This is a talented defensive line that could be one of the best in college football. He is set to potentially have a huge role in this defense, but he also might have to wait with the talent around him. The wide receiver position for Penn State is a big one. If Drew Aller wants to take a step, the wide receivers have to play at a high level. You do bring in a number of transfers, Trevor Pena, you bring in Devontae Ross, and you do bring in plenty of talent to be able to make that happen. Kyron Hudson is going to be another guy. Those are three guys that should have a big impact. But a freshman in Kobe Howard could also play a role. We've seen a lot of explosiveness from him so far, and he should be really fun to watch if he does get into this offense. Elijah Burris, if his name sounds familiar, son of Plaxico Burris, is at Notre Dame. It's one of many former NFL players' sons that are playing for Notre Dame. This is going to be a really fun year for this team, and the future of Notre Dame is bright because of that. Memphis quarterback AJ Hill. Now, he does have to beat out Brendan Lewis for that starting spot, but Memphis is in a unique position where I think that if he is able to truly step in and compete for that starting spot, then you're feeling pretty good about what he could do in 2025. DJ Pickett is an absolute freak in terms of athleticism, in terms of size. 6'5" as a corner is unreal, and it sounds like he's already killing it in camp. So LSU feels like they're in a great position with him. Devin Sanchez, kind of the same thing for Ohio State, has the ability to play a role in a secondary that does feature some new starters. So maybe a freshman is able to either start or definitely be part of the rotation. This is a secondary that lost a couple of key players. They do return a big name in Caleb Downs, but Devin Sanchez could be a big player in this defense. Javen Boggs is a guy to keep an eye on at Florida State. The wide receiver could have a major impact on this team, and this is a team that needs the wide receiver position to take a step. You brought in Squirrel White and Deuce Robinson in the offseason, but you also got Javen Boggs, who could play a role in this offense sooner rather than later. I'm actually going to go with our 10th position is going to be wide receiver Michael Scott for James Madison. James Madison is going through a huge transition at the wide receiver position. They did bring in Isaiah Alston from Iowa State, the former Army transfer. You also brought in Jalen Sanchez from Villanova. So you have guys coming in, but you also have a freshman in Michael Scott who's doing a lot of good things so far. They're really excited about what he can do. So he is someone that can have a major impact, especially with so much opportunity in front of them at that position. Kansas State lost quite a bit of talent at the tight end position. And while they feel pretty good about what they have coming back, they also had a huge win on the recruiting trail. They got Lincoln Cure to stay with them and play for the Wildcats. And I do think that he has the opportunity, I should say, to be able to contribute in 2025. Avery Johnson is going to be looking for opportunities to throw the ball downfield. And besides Jace Brown, there's not a ton of proven commodities yet. Lincoln Cure has the option to be in this rotation, and they also have the option to potentially redshirt him, obviously, if they want to. But this is a guy with so much talent and was a highly coveted recruit that you feel like you kind of have to get him on the field. Otherwise, people are going to be wondering what's wrong. Is he looking for something else? But I do think he's a good fit in Kansas State's offense. I think that he has great talent and a great skill set to be a threat downfield. And Avery Johnson is not going to be upset if he has more weapons downfield. Texas has a number of talented freshman wide receivers, and that's not really a new trend. We've seen that time and time again, and Khalil Lockett is just the latest in that trend. When you lose Matthew Golden, you're going to need someone to replace him. Now, you can't replace him with a freshman, I would say, but you do have an open position. Ryan Wingo and Dakorien Moore are going to be those top two guys. After that, it's really a question. Maybe it's going to be Emmett Mosley that's coming in from Stanford, but Khalil Lockett is already turning heads. We've seen reports that he is doing a lot of good things for this Texas offense in camp and in the spring, and he is someone that he'll be really fun to watch if he does get into the lineup. And if the hype is truly justified, if everything we are hearing is actually true, he could be a really exciting player, especially with Arch Manning coming into the offense and being the full-time starter. He's going to need plenty of options, and he'll have that with Khalil Lockett and the rest of these guys. Auburn's defensive tackle position is full of talent, but there's not a lot of names that you definitely know, and you're definitely looking for guys to step up. Maybe a guy like Malik Autry is going to be able to play a huge role in this defense. Like I said, this is a talented defensive tackle position, but they maybe don't have that high ceiling guy. They're kind of waiting for someone to emerge as the star of that group. Freshmen, like I said, are playing more and more, and they're not waiting too long to be able to start their path to stardom. Malik Autry could be that guy. He could be someone that has a major impact on this defense. The defensive end positions for Auburn are set. When you have Keldrick Falk coming back, a lot of teams are going to focus on him. That opens up opportunities for guys around him. Autry could be one of those guys, and if he does have an impact, it'll be fun to see how he actually competes. He has all the talent in the world to be able to play right away, and it's just going to be how he navigates the competition ahead of him. Tennessee is in a very interesting place. You know, the Nico Iamaleava situation played out. We obviously are kind of sick of talking about that, so we'll just move on. Joey Aguilar comes to Tennessee, and I think I do like his fit in this offense. I do think that he has the ability to be an exciting player, and he does have the confidence to make some of the throws they need him to make. The offensive line is going to need to give him time to throw at times, and you're going to potentially roll a true freshman out at tackle in David Sanders Jr. Now, this is a guy who a lot of teams wanted. The 5-star recruit is going to be a fun player to watch, but he's also going to be under a lot of scrutiny. Playing in the SEC is challenging, and while this offense does give its players, its offensive line, less time to have to protect, it's still going to require him to play against really talented competition. You look at some of the freshmen we've seen play in the past, you know, LSU's Will Campbell is one that kind of comes to mind. It took him a little while to get used to playing in the SEC, but as soon as it clicked, he was an absolute stud. Now he's on the New England Patriots. And while I'm not saying that David Sanders is going to be like Will Campbell, it's just an example of a young guy that stepped into an offense and stepped into the SEC. Yes, freshmen are playing more and more, but at the same time, there's a level of physicality that has to be learned when you're playing in the SEC. And I think that David Sanders Jr. is going to be really fun for Tennessee, and the offense puts him in a good position. But there are going to be some growing pains. I definitely know that, and you kind of be naive to say otherwise. That being said, he's a super talented player. Getting this experience will be really exciting. And this is a team that expects big things from him in 2025. Now, if he is going to be out for a while, Dallas Wilson might not be as impactful as we thought. But if he does get back healthy, this is a guy that has the tools and the traits to be a big time player for the Florida offense. Now, DJ Legway is also going through some injury challenges as well, but Dallas Wilson could alleviate some of those concerns in terms of if DJ Legway is truly healthy, or if they're worried about him getting hit. Dallas Wilson is someone who can make his life a lot easier. He like I said, he has freaky traits to be able to make plays, and he also has the ability to get open consistently, which is going to help Legway take less hits and also give him an opportunity to throw the ball in his direction and feel confident about the result. Now, Wilson is going through an injury in fall camp. That was really unfortunate, but he's a guy that I think has the ability to, if he does bounce back, and if it's not as long as we thought, he is going to have a big year. Now, you obviously want to see him get back to 100%. That is going to be a big question, but there's no questioning that he is an impact player. He has the ability to fit in this offense, and the wide receiver position needs a go-to guy, especially when you look at what they have coming back. You know, Eugene Wilson is going to try to get back to 100%. It sounds like he is. He's had injury issues throughout his career, but it sounds like the hip issue that he was having has been resolved, and you feel pretty good about what he brings to the table. You also brought in J. Michael Sturdivant from the transfer portal. Overall, you have options but are they proven options? That's the question. And now without Dallas Wilson, maybe you have to look at a Khalil Jackson or somebody else that's going to have to play that role. But make no mistake about it, if Dallas Wilson comes back fully healthy, he is going to have an instant impact on this offense, and it'll be fun to see how he competes in the SEC. Now, ever since Evan Stewart went down with an injury, and we're still not entirely sure how long he's actually going to be out, Dakorien Moore is someone that everybody was pointing to as a guy who could step up for the Oregon Ducks. Now, losing Evan Stewart is not going to be fun by any means. You lose a guy who is a veteran player who understands how to run routes, and a lot of people expected some big things from him in 2025. You're going to look to him as more of a leader now. You're looking at him as a guy who can mentor someone like Dakorien Moore. Now, Moore has been turning heads ever since he got to campus, and he is someone who's had a tremendous impact already in Will Stein's offense, and especially with the wide receiver position being kind of uncertain. Dakorien Moore has been kind of a nice steadying force. Now, without Evan Stewart, you were already going to have to turn to guys like Justice Lowe, Kyler Casper, Jeremiah McClellan, Jurion Dickey, Gary Bryan Jr. You have plenty of options. I think that the talent level is definitely there. There's not a question of talent. Dakorien Moore is part of that as well. It's just a matter of who's going to be that guy. And so far, Dakorien Moore has stepped up in a big way, and maybe he's not doing anything crazier than the rest of the guys. He just might be more consistent, and it'll be fun to see what he can do because they do need him to potentially play right away. And right now, Kenyon Sadiq is the go-to option for Dante Moore, but Dakorien Moore is someone who could play a huge role. And if he's truly living up to the hype, you feel good about what Oregon's offense can do. They have the right play caller. They have the quarterback that they believe in. And if the wide receiver talent can take a step, including a true freshman, this is going to be a really exciting team. Now, a guy who kind of came out of nowhere coming into the offseason was Gideon Davidson. This is a guy who stepped into Clemson's running back room and decided that he wasn't going to wait for his opportunity. He was going to take over right away. And all we've been hearing is about how good he is and how excited this program is for him to contribute in this offense. This is a Clemson offense that needs balance. They return quite a bit of talent at the wide receiver position. Cade Klubnik is coming back to throw them the ball. The running back position is maybe the X factor of this offense, maybe the tight end position as well. But you feel set at wide receiver, you feel set at offensive line, and you're set at quarterback. If the rushing attack can be as good as we want it to be, then it's going to be a fun year for Clemson to potentially make a run at a national championship. Gideon Davidson has the talent to be able to make an impact. He's wearing a familiar number in number 9 for Travis Etienne. So it'll be fun to watch number 9 do a lot of damage for Clemson's rushing attack. And this is an offense that does need to take a step this year with its rushing attack. You feel like you're going to have to replace Phil Maffa with somebody, and Gideon Davidson decides that he is going to be a big part of that. Now, the next two should be fairly obvious. This one's a little bit more obvious than maybe the top one, but Bryce Underwood is going to play a role in Michigan's offense. It's just a matter of time before he takes over as the starter. He's battling with Mikey Keene right now, but even with this battle, you expect him to play a role. Now, the one thing that I would say is that Bryce Underwood has all the talent in the world to be successful for the Wolverines. He has the ability to make big time throws. He has the ability to be the starter for this team. He needs his wide receivers and pass catchers to step up big time. Right now, that is his biggest question. You don't have any questions really about his potential. You don't have any questions about his talent, but how well he does, how successful he is going to be kind of contingent on the wide receiver talent around him. Right now, you don't have a ton of proven players that can get open consistently. So even if he's good, he still needs guys to get open. And that's probably the biggest question for Michigan right now is what does the passing attack look like? Not because Keene and Underwood don't have the ability to move the ball down the field, but do they have the wide receivers to get open? Chip Lindsey is going to have a lot of work to do to be able to make that happen. And if this is a team that truly wants to make a run this year, they need the passing attack to be better. It has not been good. The quarterback position has been a big part of that. But at the same time, the wide receiver position, the tight end position, outside of Colson Loveland, who's not there anymore, has played a big role in their struggles. If they're able to fix those things, if they're able to sort those things out, this is a team that could be really fun to watch offensively. Underwood's going to play a big role. And like I said before, it's really only a matter of time before he truly is the starter. The final one is actually going to be Maryland quarterback Malik Washington. And he is someone that steps into a situation where Maryland needs kind of a lot from him. And if they're going to win football games in 2025, they need the quarterback position to be really good. Now, their schedule does allow them to potentially win a bunch of games. It just still might come with some growing pains. When you have a true freshman quarterback taking over, it's going to take some time for him to get used to the college game, get used to his new teammates, get used to his new system. Now, he does have some interesting talent. You brought in Jaleel Farouk from Oklahoma. You brought in Caleb Webb from Tennessee. You return Octavian Smith, who's going to be a really fun player, I think, for the Maryland offense. You also brought in Dorian Fleming at tight end from Georgia State. So this is a team that has plenty of new faces. It's going to take some time for Malik Washington to get used to his other talented players. He's going to have to figure out who his reliable player is on third downs, who's his big time deep threat. And honestly, with guys like Farouk, are they able to stay healthy? And for a freshman quarterback, that's a lot to undertake in your first year. And like I said, this is a schedule that does give them some grace. It does allow them to win football games and get Malik Washington up to speed. But unlike the rest of these guys, Maryland kind of needs him to be the starter. They truly need him to be the guy because he has the highest ceiling, I think, of anybody in that quarterback room. And so far, his ability to command that first spot and compete for that job is showing exactly why this team's so excited about him. And if he truly lives up to expectations, like I said, there'll still be some growing pains. But this could be a pretty fun year for Maryland. The schedule gives them plenty of games that they could potentially win, and they have a young quarterback that if those two things pair together and go well, this is a team that suddenly has some optimism about Mike Locksley and about the future of their program. Plenty of freshmen are going to make an impact this year, and it's going to be fun to see which one of them or multiple of them are able to step up. There's plenty of guys that are also not on this list that could have an impact. There's plenty of guys that'll be really fun, and it's going to be exciting to see which one of them or multiple of them thrives in 2025.